Welcome back to the Famous Girl TV. Chris Brown is going on tour, and this time it's a stadium tour, which is something that he's never done before. Last year he went on an arena tour, which he did very well on. If I remember correctly, he actually sold out majority of those dates. That was for his 11/11 album that actually just won Best R&B Album at the Grammys. And he'll be back on tour again this summer, but except this time it'll be all stadiums. And not only will he be touring here in the United States, but he'll also be over in Europe. And I just want to add that this is such a big deal for Chris Brown. Like, he has been working his entire career to get to this point. Like, the fact that this man is getting ready to do a stadium tour, what other R&B acts out right now are doing stadium tours? I'm sorry. Not just stadium tours, stadium world tours. I mean, there's only really one other person that really pops into my mind right away when I ask that question, and that person is Beyonce. I mean, you can include Drake in that conversation if you really wanted to, but to me, I just feel like Drake is more of like a pop act than a real R&B act. So yeah, like the only other person that I can think of that's doing that is the queen, and that's Beyonce. And that kind of brings me to my next point, because I have noticed Chris Brown has been compared to Beyonce a lot lately. Like a lot more than usual. I've been seeing it a lot, and I've been seeing a lot of discourse between the fans. So I noticed this whole thing kind of kicked off once it was reported that Chris Brown actually ended up tying Beyonce and RIAA certified digital single sales as a lead artist. I feel like that kind of started some rivalry between Team Breezy and the Beehive. And then fast forward to February, where Beyonce announced her Cowboy Carter tour. Now, the announcement was cool and everything, but once her tickets actually went on sale, that's when a lot of her fans came out and they were like, what the hell? They were pissed off because they felt like her tickets were way overpriced. They were like double the price of what they paid for her last tour. And then to make the matter worse, Cowboy Carter was not an album that was well received by the majority of her fan base. I don't think people liked Cowboy Carter nearly as much as they liked Renaissance. I mean, yeah, there were, some good songs on the album, but for the most part, it just didn't really resonate with people like that. It just didn't. So it's like the fans didn't really like the album. So they're upset because how are you gonna go on tour and charge them all this money for an album that they A, did not ask for, and B, they don't like? Not long after this, people started to notice that her tickets weren't selling as fast as what they're used to. In fact, you had users pointing out on the Ticketmaster seat map that there were a lot of seats still available. So now I'm going to read this article from the Times, which is basically discussing why her tour isn't selling out. Ticketmaster was braced for an onslaught as the pre-sale went live on February 11th, followed by regular ticket sales on February 14th, but the reality proved surprisingly calm. In fact, it has all been rather underwhelming. Unlike in 2023, when the Renaissance tour sold out in minutes, more than 2 weeks later, none of Beyonce's London dates have sold out. There were rumors that some say originated from the star's PR team that Ticketmaster's website crashed under the demand, which happened for when tickets for Taylor Swift's Eras tour and Oasis's reunion gigs went on sale. But Ticketmaster released a statement saying this was not the case. The first and obvious culprit is ticket pricing, which has ballooned even in the space of 2 years. On her 2023 tour, the Texan singer sold out 5 nights at the 63,000 capacity Spurs Stadium, generating nearly £31 million revenue in London with 240,330 tickets sold. This time around, even the price of the cheapest seated ticket has jumped 27% from £56 to £71, Premium sections have become significantly more expensive too. Club Renaissance, the premium fan experience in 2023, has been rebranded as Club Hoedown, complete with a 31% price hike to £486. Meanwhile, the Beehive Pit package has been replaced by the Buck and Honey Pit, now 12% more expensive at £858, which gets you early entry into the venue, a limited edition gift, a photo op, though Beyonce will not be taking part, and a VIP laminated lanyard. Some fans have a sense that a second Megabucks tour in 2 years is a tad excessive. Quote, Beyonce is the kind of artist you'd want to see once in a lifetime, not twice in 2 years, says Camille Tennyson, 39, a copywriter who lives in London. She also went to the Singers Renaissance tour, but is swerving Beyonce this time around. She says, these stadium gigs are a bit too big for me, and I'm not such a fan as to want to go a second time. The article goes on to say, despite the growing popularity of country music in Britain, Cowboy Carter is quite a divisive record, says Bob Harris, host of BBC Radio 2's The Country Show with Bob Harris. The album was snubbed at the Country Music Association Awards, receiving no nominations despite her single, Texas Hold'em, being one of the year's biggest hits. He said, I think her traditional audience hasn't particularly taken to this record. It's not what they expect from Beyonce. Cash McClay, the official Beyonce reporter for USA Today, based in Nashville, Tennessee, points out another reason demand may have dropped. Since big events such as the Eras Tour and Madonna's Celebration Tour, both greatest hits tours of sorts, and therefore justifying the higher price, fans have become used to traveling abroad to cities where tickets might be cheaper. Standing tickets for Beyonce are priced at the equivalent of just £167 in France, 25% less than in London. This time, fans have more patience and strategy, says McClay. That article was published on March 1st. Now I'm going to get into a second article that was actually published on March 24th from Digital Music News. It says, Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour is proving to be a sluggish seller in multiple cities, with cheap seats sinking below $35 in several arenas across the U.S. Live Nation is pointing to tremendous demand and a record-breaking run for the tour as scalpers look to dump excess inventory. Despite searing success at the Grammys and a heavily promoted tour, ticket prices for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour are sinking in multiple key markets. Instead of instant sellouts, most shows have plenty of tickets available across Ticketmaster, StubHub, Vivid Seats, and other major ticket-selling hubs, with prices starting to slip below $35 in some markets. With tickets broadly available and moving slowly, fans might be waiting to score last-minute bargains, and you can't blame them. Earlier this week, prices for cheap seats at several major arenas dipped below $35, with prices slipping below $30 at SoFi Stadium over the weekend, according to prices confirmed by Digital Music News over the past week. Specifically, a $29 ticket was spotted for the May 1st date at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, while multiple $32 tickets were spotted for other dates, including MetLife Stadium and East Rutherford, New Jersey, outside of New York City. In some cases, those floors have since moved towards $40 as weekend activity perks up, though a night out at a Cowboy Carter show won't break the bank. That offers a stark contrast to superstar sellers like Olivia Rodrigo, Oasis, The Weeknd, and of course, Taylor Swift, whose cheap seats often soared into the low thousands while crashing major ticketing platforms. Live Nation, which is promoting the tour across the United States and Europe, pointed Digital Music News to a 94% sellout rate, but many of those sales seem to be reappearing in the secondary market, where ticket prices are sinking fast. Even Ticketmaster's site is full of seating options, including resales. Live Nation has also added 9 additional shows to the tour, including a Las Vegas date beyond the initial 22 stadium stops. That sounds aggressive, though perhaps Cowboy Carter is galloping too quickly. In Los Angeles, for example, Beyonce is playing an astounding 5 nights, though SoFi Stadium ticket prices might be sinking due to oversupply. Across the pond, B is also scheduling 6 separate nights at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. But ticket sales have also been sluggish in the UK, with only 1 date nearing a sellout on Ticketmaster's site. The article ends with saying, Beyonce has been lambasted for being being a country music tourist, and Cowboy Carter is avoiding cowboy corners. Houston, Beyonce's hometown, is on the list, but most of the cities on the Cowboy Carter tour aren't exactly down-home locales, including New York, London, Atlanta, DC, Paris, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Ooh, yikes. So it's like here you have Billboard publishing articles saying that, yeah, like her tour is 94% sold out, but then those same tickets are literally appearing on reseller websites like Vivid Seats and StubHub. That is crazy. So my whole thing is like, okay, are you really 94% sold out if those tickets are popping up on resellers? Is that really sold out? I don't really know, but what I do know is that when Chris Brown announced his tour, oh brother, the fans went absolutely crazy. The minute his tickets went on sale, it was absolute chaos on social media. Like, people were complaining about how they weren't even able to get a ticket in time because that's how big the demand was. So the pre-sale completely sold out. Within minutes it was sold out, and then same thing for when the general sale happened. They sold out very quickly, and there are a lot of like diehard Chris Brown fans that are complaining online because they weren't able to get a ticket. And then he's also going to be taking his tour over to the UK, and from what I have seen so far, those shows are almost completely sold out as well, if not sold out already. So the demand for Chris Brown is there. His tickets are selling out. Now, I haven't been able to find any articles discussing his ticket sales like in great detail, kind of like how they did for Beyonce's tour. I haven't really seen a lot about that, but from what I have seen on social media and on Ticketmaster, as far as ticket availability, Chris Brown's tour is selling out. And from what I can see, I don't know, it looks like he might be doing better than Beyonce in 2025. I'm talking about in demand and ticket sales because this tour is going to be a throwback tour. So he's supposed to be going through the 20 years of his career, all the different eras and all his throwbacks. So people are really excited for that because, you know, Chris Brown has a crazy catalog. Like, he has a lot of hit songs. And I really think that people would rather go see that than go see Cowboy Carter because they didn't like that album. And this is not to take away from Beyonce at all. I know she is one of the greatest performers of our time. She's amazing at what she does, super talented. But I just feel like as far as this tour, I think Chris Brown got you beat, babe. And honestly, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I really think that there may be some secret competition right now between Beyonce and Chris Brown. So back in December, Chris Brown performed 2 stadium shows for the first time ever, one in Brazil and one in South Africa. I mean, both stadiums were packed out, completely packed out. I mean, his ticket sales went crazy over there. Chris Brown's fans coined these stadium performances. They coined it Breezy Bowl. So, you know, Breezy Bowl was trending. Like, that's what the fans were calling it. Then Beyonce came out on Christmas to do her NFL halftime performance, and you'll never guess what they coined it. They coined it Beyonce Bowl. So Chris Brown fans were feeling some type of way because it was like Breezy Bowl had been trending pretty much weeks prior to Beyonce's thing. And then she comes out with Beyonce Bowl. So a lot of her fans came back and they were basically like, no, Beyonce has used Beyonce Bowl before from when she's performed at the Super Bowl halftime in the past. But my problem with that is that the fans came up with the term Breezy Bowl for Chris Brown because they have acknowledged the fact that Chris Brown will probably never be accepted in certain spaces like the Super Bowl, just given his past and the fact that he is such a polarizing figure. A lot of his fans understand that he may never get the opportunity to perform at the Super Bowl or be invited to the Super Bowl, but basically they're saying we don't need a Super Bowl because we got Breezy Bowl. Like, he got us, he got the fans. A fan picture that actually went viral at one of his shows, I can't remember if it was the South Africa show or the Brazil show, but they literally literally had a sign that said, "Fuck a Super Bowl, this is Breezy Bowl." So the whole argument that Beyonce used Beyonce Bowl before Chris Brown used Breezy Bowl doesn't work, because Beyonce Bowl was only intended for her actual Super Bowl performances. The performance that she did back in December that Netflix coined Beyonce Bowl was not the Super Bowl, just like Breezy Bowl was not the Super Bowl. So I think it would be fair to conclude that maybe Beyonce could have been a little bit inspired by the name, but I'm not gonna lie, part of me feels like them doing that was kind of shady. So the hijacking of Breezy Bowl, I kind of feel like that may have been an intentional attempt to stifle Chris's moment and kind of overshadow his accomplishment. Because again, it didn't really make sense for Beyonce to call that halftime performance Beyonce Bowl when it wasn't the actual Super Bowl. Like, Beyonce has performed at the Super Bowl multiple times. Chris Brown has never had that opportunity, and a lot of people know that he probably will never have that opportunity. So with that being said, Breezy Bowl was really unique to Chris Brown. So for Beyonce to pop out talking about Beyonce Bowl, like, that's kind of unoriginal. And honestly, I don't know how Chris Brown feels about it. Like, he could be flattered. He could really feel like, wow, I'm so happy that Beyonce, was inspired by something that I did. Or on the other hand, he could feel like, girl, fuck you. Chris Brown has always respected Beyonce and given Beyonce her flowers, even expressed, his desire to work with her. But as you know, like, it's been said for many, many years that a lot of the reason why Chris Brown experienced some of the blackballing throughout his career was due to Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z. It's been said that Jay-Z really does not like Chris Brown, and he would never allow him to get anywhere near close to Beyonce in any capacity. So if I was Chris Brown, like, putting myself in his shoes, I would feel like, okay, so you've never acknowledged me, but now, after my shit has been trending viral all over social media, now you want to pop up with this performance and you call it Beyonce Bowl? Like, you're gonna capitalize off of something that my fans created for me? Now, I could be wrong. He could not feel that way. But I do think it's very interesting that this stadium tour that he's going on in 2025, he literally named it the Breezy Bowl World Stadium Tour. So you might not really think anything of that, but to me personally, I feel like that's his way of saying, hell no, this is my shit, and I'm taking this name back. I'm reclaiming my name, my term that my fans created for me. I'm taking that back. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I definitely feel like there may be some little competition between these two. Because if you think about it, now at this stage of development, Chris Brown has set himself apart from all of his peers. I mean, this man is selling out shows left and right, packing out stadiums like his fans do not play, and no other male R&B acts are doing that right now in 2025. So a lot of people are very quick to dismiss Chris Brown and write him off, but I'm telling you, I really think some people are starting to see him as an impending threat, okay? So at the end of the day, we're gonna have to wait until both of them complete their tours to really be able to compare numbers to see, but I'm telling you, from what I see right now, it seems like there is a much higher demand to go see Chris Brown than there is to see Beyonce. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Beyonce, but if you can read the room just a little bit, you might start to notice there's a little bit of a shift here. That's all I'm saying. Lord, please don't drag me. But let me know what you think. I really want to know what some people think about this. Like, have you noticed? Have you been paying attention? Have you noticed a little bit of a shift? You think I'm tripping? I don't know. Let me know though, okay? But anyways, thank you guys for tuning into my video, and I will be sure to come back if there are any more updates. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.